Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Lori Johnson. Well, it is only the day after Christmas, but many of us may already be thinking about the new year and our resolutions. Studies show that the more specific you are about your resolutions, the more likely you are to reach your goals. So get out your pen and paper. Here are the top 10 healthy habits for the new year. The number one healthy habit for the new year is exercise because of the short-term and long-term benefits. Right away, it can improve your mood, reduce stress, and even make your brain work better. And over time, it can prevent health problems ranging from obesity and diabetes to heart disease and even cancer. This is all because of what exercise does inside your body, according to Dr. Harry Lodge, author of the bestseller Younger Next Year.
It turns out that your cells really don't age. They either grow or they decay. If you do things in your life that trigger growth in the cells, then your body gets stronger, younger, fitter, healthier, better able to resist disease, and you live life as functionally a young man or woman until very, very late in the game.
But even with all these benefits, some 60% of Americans stay on the couch. If you'd like to be among the 40% of regular exercisers, psychologists say focus on the first 3 weeks knowing it'll get easier, because studies have shown that any activity repeated daily becomes a habit after 3 weeks. Number 2, eat a healthy breakfast with protein within 90 minutes after you wake up. It triggers metabolism and keeps you from getting too hungry and overeating later in the day. Number 3, eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. 1 serving equals a half cup of cooked vegetables or a full cup of raw or leafy vegetables or a small whole fruit. Number 4, avoid trans fats. They're found in mostly processed foods, so if the list of ingredients includes hydrogenated, stay away. Ironically, trans fats prolong a food's shelf life, but it has the opposite effect on our bodies, according to Dr. Michael Aziz, author of The Perfect 10 Diet.
Trans fats are really like plastic, and when we eat them, they incorporate in our cells, and the cells cannot communicate or talk to one another. In turn, hormones are disturbed. Weight gain follows, but more troubling, the risk for heart disease, cancer, stroke, infertility goes up.
Number 5, eat the good fats, namely omega-3s found in foods like fish, especially salmon, sardines, and fish oil supplements. Other choices include walnuts, almonds, and flaxseed. They've been shown to reduce the risk of heart disease, improve your immunity, and reduce inflammation. Number 6, and one of the toughest, avoid sugar. Its negative laundry list runs from obesity to diabetes to heart disease and cancer. The average American consumes 135 pounds of sugar a year, compared to only 5 pounds 120 years ago. This includes hidden sugars like corn syrup, sucrose, glucose, and lactose. Celebrity diet coach Joy Bauer, author of the 90-10 weight loss plan, says start by going cold turkey.
The first 7 days, I completely eliminate all sugars, both real sugars and artificial sweeteners, because when you remove the taste of sweet from your mind and your taste buds, eventually it gets much easier and you stop craving it. And so many people, when they start week 2 and they're allowed to start adding some of these sugars back into their plan, they don't even want them because they feel great without it.
Good health is more than just diet and exercise. For example, did you know that the best way to avoid getting sick is to keep your hands clean? When using hand sanitizer, make sure it's at least 60% alcohol. Get in all those nooks and crannies and rub your hands until they're dry. When using soap and water, lather up for a full 20 seconds. Number 8, practice good dental hygiene. Believe it or not, periodontal infection contributes to heart disease, diabetes, and even premature underweight births. Number 9, get regular screenings depending on your age and gender. Some of the most important ones are an annual physical, blood pressure and cholesterol checks, colonoscopy, mammogram, pap test, prostate, and skin cancer screenings. And last but not least, get enough sleep. According to Dr. James Moss, author of Sleep for Success, if you don't get your Z's, you're setting yourself up for a whole host of health problems.
You're going to be irritable, anxious, depressed. You're going to gain weight. You have a greater risk for hypertension, that's heart attacks and strokes, type 2 diabetes, obesity, skin problems, and cancer. And your cognitive performance slows down. You can't think, you can't remember, you're not creative, you can't think critically. It affects how long you're going to live. And if you're an athlete, it just ruins your motor coordination and your reaction time.
So at a time when many of us vow to start afresh, take note of these healthy habits to make this new year your healthiest one yet. And coming up, we're going to zero in on one of those resolutions, giving up sugar. Too much of it can lead to obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. Learn how to quit sugar for good. Stay with us. Many people are thinking about just exactly how they're going to shed those holiday pounds and kick that sugar habit. Well, there is research to help you on your journey. Take a look. When we think of addiction, we tend to focus on drugs and alcohol. But more doctors say we should also consider sugar.
Sugar is the source of all chronic disease. It's one of the biggest contributors. And we know that solid tumors, cancers, feed on sugar.
Dr. Vincent Pedre is one of a growing number of physicians warning consuming too much sugar not only fuels cancer, but also heart disease and Alzheimer's.
And let me clarify that, because when I say consuming too much sugar, people think, well, I don't eat dessert, so I don't have a lot of sugar. But then they're eating bread, rice, pasta, or scones. They're not thinking of that as sugar, but sugar comes from all of these sources. We break down the carbohydrates and they become sugar.
An estimated 3/4 of Americans are addicted to sugar and don't know it. But food manufacturers do. They add sugar to nearly everything, including things that might not seem sweet, like crackers and yogurt, to keep customers coming back for more. Most people might be shocked to discover they consume 100 times more sugar than their ancestors did back in the 1800s. And that's at the root of their health issues.
Bloating, abdominal pain, but also sinus congestion, mental fog, memory issues, fatigue, achiness, joint pains. These are all symptoms of consuming too much sugar in all of its forms. But people don't connect the two.
Scientists use lab animals to prove sugar is even more addictive than illicit drugs.
So sugar stimulates the same parts of the brain as cocaine. So I tell people that sugar is cocaine for your brain. And by that I mean it affects the dopamine pathways. And dopamine is the neurotransmitter that makes you feel good, that things are great.
A little is never enough.
Because that's the design of the neural circuit in the brain. It's going to want more hits. And it keeps wanting more and more because it becomes desensitized to small amounts.
That's why he recommends quitting sweets cold turkey.
The craving is not going to last longer than 10 to 20 minutes. So if you don't give in to the craving initially, eventually it's going to pass because your body is going to realize that it doesn't really need that for survival.
Or at least substituting whole fruit.
Now, the chocolate chip cookie is going to be a much faster hit for the brain. So you get that quicker satisfaction. If you have a fruit, let's say an orange or some berries, you need to give it a little more time. The feedback is going to happen. It's just going to take a couple of minutes.
When it comes to sugar substitutes, while whole fruit is okay, avoid artificial sweeteners because research shows they're actually worse than the real thing. In his book, Happy Gut, Dr. Pedre explains that artificial sweeteners harm our immune system by disrupting the bacteria in our digestive tract.
It reduces a type of bacteria that tends to be found in lean, healthy people, and it increases another type of bacteria in this genus called Bacteroidetes that is found in people that are obese.
Studies show people who regularly use artificial sweeteners gain more weight. Their ingredients trigger insulin resistance.
If you're becoming deaf and you have to turn the volume up higher, your body is becoming deaf to the signal, the insulin signal. So your body jacks up the insulin. But if insulin is high, what happens is it tells your body, it turns on genes that say, store fat.
The good news? Intermittent fasting can often reverse insulin issues. That means, for instance, going without food for 12 hours.
The idea behind intermittent fasting is that when you're not eating, you're allowing your insulin levels to drop. You're allowing insulin receptors to reset. So then what's happening towards the end of the fast is you're increasing insulin sensitivity. So you're making your body insulin sensitive again.
Intermittent fasting also repairs our cells and turns on longevity genes. So it might not be easy, but giving up sweets in their many forms, including artificial sweeteners, could pay off big time. And coming up next, we'll drill down, showing you exactly how to stop those bad habits like sugar and turn them into good ones when we return. Our brains want to be efficient. Because of that, we're able to do so many things without even thinking. That's a good thing and also a bad thing. It's good if, out of habit, you look both ways before crossing a street. It's bad if, out of habit, you devour a bowl of ice cream when you're stressed. So how do we keep the good habits for the new year and ditch the bad ones? Gordon Robertson shares more.
We all have them. In fact, it would be almost impossible to get through a day without them. Some of them keep us safe and make things easy. Others are so dangerous, they could cost us our lives. What are these powerful agents that seem to rule over us? They're habits, and the good news is you can change them.
One of the things you need to know is that no matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this. Because chances are you've done it in a way where you fought against what your brain is trying to do rather than working with it.
Studying the brain's inner working and its amazing abilities is what Art Markman, a cognitive scientist and professor at the University of Texas, does every day. In his book, Smart Change, he shares tools to leverage the way our brains work to develop healthy habits.
One thing that people don't understand about habits is that habits really are memories. You know, if I said to everybody, hey, remember a birthday party you attended, you remember a birthday party you attended. It doesn't take a lot of work. That's just what memory does. And the same thing happens. Now I'm in my kitchen and my brain says, oh, it must be time for you to eat these cookies because that's what you do at this time of day.
This automatic response is part of what Dr. Markman calls the GO system. This system is a set of mechanisms inside the brain that work to learn and create habits. Once these habits become established, we don't have to think about them anymore. So when you drive a car, use a smartphone, or go to your grocery store and quickly find what you want, you are experiencing the benefits of the GO system.
So whenever you repeat a set of actions in a particular situation, you eventually develop a habit to do that mindlessly. So the GO system is constantly driving you to do stuff.
When you want to make changes to your habits, you have to put the brakes on your GO system. That means having to slow down and think about what you are doing.
You used to eat a bowl of ice cream every evening while you're watching TV, and now you don't want to do it anymore. Well, that go system says you're sitting in front of the TV, it's time to eat the ice cream. What's going to keep you from doing that? And that's a second set of brain systems that I call the stop system. Now, the problem with the stop system is it gets impaired really easily. So by stress, you get really stressed out, and now at the end of the day, you just give in to that ice cream.
Habits are hard to get rid of. Remember, they didn't just form overnight. The good news is you can create new behaviors within your habits.
So every time you do the behavior that you don't want to do anymore, just take a moment and think about, what was I doing? Where was I doing it? How did I feel? What was triggering that behavior? Because the thing about habits is we do almost all of them mindlessly. So you can't make a change in it until you make that mindful.
Start to notice what triggers an unhealthy habit. Let's say a stressful situation at work happens. That's your cue, reaching for a candy bar or a bag of chips. Now that you've identified your cue, substitute a healthier behavior. Take a 5-minute walk instead of the candy and see how your new behavior makes you feel. Continue to substitute your new behavior every time the cue appears. And now you have a new healthy habit.
One of the most popular New Year's resolutions is, I want to lose weight this year. Losing weight is sort of a negative thing. You're not actually doing something. So what you really need to do is to turn that into a positive goal. I want to eat differently. I want to exercise more. The idea is I'm creating actions that I can perform that can eventually become my new habits. And that's the way I optimize my goals.
Now use what you have learned about yourself to create a plan. Write out your goals. What do you want to accomplish? Why is it important to you? List the action steps you will need to take and any obstacles that might stand in your way. Now it's time to put your plan into action. Start with being specific on your calendar.
I'm going to exercise Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 4:30 in the afternoon. So now you're forced to really think about all the trade-offs you need to make if you're going to seriously make a change in your behavior. But the second thing is that by putting it on your calendar like that, now when Monday at 4:30 comes, you get yourself ready to go exercise, and eventually you've created something that can become a habit.
Every time you get out there and take action, you are reprogramming your go system with the habits you want. But watch out, because there are things that can sidetrack your progress. Reach out to others for help. They can increase your chance for success.
If I'm trying to eat less and now I'm really stressed, maybe now this is the day I need to go out with a friend and do something else rather than sitting in my kitchen where all my food is completely available, so that I'm not relying on the stop system to keep me from doing the thing I don't want to do.
Joining with people who are succeeding where you want to succeed makes changing your habits a lot easier.
Turns out other people's goals are actually contagious. Maybe you're not so excited about exercising, but you've got a friend who really loves to walk every morning and you like that friend. Well, you know what? Hitch a ride with that friend and every morning have that friend come by, and now you'll go walk together for a half hour.
Another thing you can do is prepare your environment for success. Get rid of anything that might tempt you and keep you from victory. So if that bowl of ice cream is calling your name, show it who's boss and throw it away.
So there I am, it's 10 o'clock at night and I want to pull out that ice cream and it's not there. Well, now I go on and do something else instead. So we can manipulate our environment in ways that make those desirable behaviors relatively easy to do and the undesirable behaviors hard.
Setbacks are going to happen. When they do, stay positive. You might lose a battle here and there, but you want to win the war.
If you had a friend who was trying to change his or her behavior and they had a bad day, what would you say to them? You wouldn't say, oh, give up now. You'd say, no, keep at it, you're doing great. Well, you have to give yourself the same amount of compassion that you would give to someone else.
One of the best ways to ensure that your habits will last is to reach out and help others. Become a mentor.
And part of what that does, of course, is to give you the joy of working with another person and seeing their change. But part of it also reminds you of how far you've come and how much work you put in to get to the point where you are right now, so that you're not tempted to run back off to that single serving carton of ice cream, or maybe to stay in when you could be exercising.
Real change is possible. Start by taking an honest look at your life and ask God to point out the habits He wants to help you change today. Write it down and create a plan. Proverbs 27, verse 17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend." So go out and join others who are living the life that you want to live. And remember that you can be a help to someone else in their journey too.
And that was a sneak peek of CBN's Protect Your Brain series. To learn more about how you can protect your brain, visit CBN.com. The Trump administration says they will be working hard to keep up their momentum well into the new year. Vice President Mike Pence sat down with our chief political correspondent David Brody to share what his New Year's resolutions will be for 2018.
Any New Year's resolutions, by the way?
When this tax cut makes its way to the president's desk, we believe we'll have laid a foundation by rolling back red tape, by appointing strong conservatives to our courts at every level, including Justice Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court. That, combined with tax relief, we believe is going to lay a foundation for sustained economic growth, the likes of which we've begun to see in this country already. And what President Trump wants to do with that in the next year is to follow on with that, to rebuild America through an infrastructure plan, to reform welfare, to move people even more from welfare to work in a growing economy, to confront the opiate crisis that is besetting so many American families. There's great work to do.
And that's it for now. On CBN NewsWatch, you can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. And tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here. You can do that by emailing newswatch@cbn.com or talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day, everyone.